First is Eralp Hatipoglu, who is co-founder of CityPay.io. Some of you guys probably know Eralp. He's one of the most successful entrepreneurs here in Georgia, and CityPay actually just, when was it, a few months back, right? Not even a month. They closed probably the biggest round in Georgian startup ecosystem history, secured 10 million USD from Tether to expand internationally. So Beka, Eralp, and the whole big team, they're doing really good things. The next speaker is Varlam Ebanoidze, who is head of fintech and subtech development and the innovation office of the National Bank of Georgia. Varlam is probably the go-to person when it comes to fintech regulation in the country, and he's always open to the media to talk about whatever the regulator is doing. Next is George Guazava, who is Chief Crypto Officer at the Bank of Georgia, which is one of the largest banks in our country, one of the leading financial institutions as well. And he's also an angel investor and works as a lecturer in the university as well. Then we have Andranik Togramagian, who is Director of National Center of Digital Financial Technologies of Armenia. So we have a guest from the region. So good luck to you, sir. And moderating the panel will be Luca Lomsadze, who is a quite well-known guy in the crypto and general technical tech ecosystem here in Georgia. Always ready to talk and present. So guys, please enjoy the panel. The floor is yours.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for attending the conference. It's been a while since Degamefi has been organizing those type of events, and each year it's getting better and better with the speakers, with the attendance, and with the engagement overall. So I'd love to, I'm very happy that we have a chance to open this year's conference with a very, very interesting panel discussion with very interesting panelists surrounding me. So as you guys know, all of those guys attending on the panel right now are covering in different aspects of financial and crypto markets. So it would be very interesting for us to discuss different aspects of crypto in general and what it brings to the Georgian market and what are the difficulties it goes through. So the first question I'd like to ask you guys, and let's start the discussion maybe with Eralf and so on, would be currently on the market we see a lots of new innovative projects coming up around Web3, which are solving different type of issues or maybe are just an additional add-on on different type of services. So what do you see as one of the maybe most interesting projects in Web3 for you right now, and what are the aspects of it?
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to being in here. It's been 3 years. Great job. Thank you guys for inviting us again. Innovations are happening a lot in the Georgia right now, and it's a very good thing. And National Bank Georgia are helping the innovations to open the gates. Also, we do have Cheetah, who is helping the startups in order to grow in the ecosystem. There is a one way. We need the ecosystem. We need the ecosystem to grow in here. What we are trying to do is that basically as a little startup for the global area, we are trying to bring investors, we are trying to bring experience in the country because we don't have the unicorn in the country. And this is the biggest issue we are having.
I said is a lot of people would call CityPay as one of the unicorns of the market, considering the latest investment rounds as well. So yeah, just note that.
Thank you very much for the kind words, but still, we are a small company trying to grow and small startup who is on the global stage trying to grow. As a Web3 project and as a crypto project, digital currencies project, we were lucky, we were on the timing was perfect for us. And we were on the lucky that being in Georgia, testing the product fastly and making the market fit, also helping from the banking sector, governmental sector, it helped us a lot. But as a promising project, I would say that organizers project, Mika's project is the most promising project which you can see the stands outside as a right now from the country. But as a startups, a lot of startups are coming. If there's a startup here, I would like to say that if you need any help, any question, you can reach us anytime you would like to. We will try our best to help you in order to grow this ecosystem.
Very nice. Supporting each other is one of the best things I believe startups can do, and companies in general can do about it. So yeah, that was a very, very good point from your side, Rolf. George, what would be your take on the most interesting coming up projects in Web3 that you think have an impact on the market right now?
Great, thank you. Happy to be here. Welcome, everyone. Thanks, organizers, for consistently organizing an event for Georgia around Web3 space. In my opinion, what's happening in Georgia is we are sometimes a little bit late in some stuff, and that has obviously some objective reasons. But in Web3 and crypto space, we are not that late, I would say. Important thing that's happening outside and still not happening in Georgia is the big push, at least from the community, for really decentralized projects. When we see projects like Optimism or projects like any kind of good automated market maker where you basically do not need a centralized entity to create deep liquidity, you would like that kind of thing to be actually coming from Georgia as well. We see great startups, great projects and outside of Georgia, but still I believe that whatever is good in some places could be also somehow modified and be started from here. Errol's project also real nice, Mika quite good, but again we need more exposure, and that exposure is coming from projects like, for example, CityPay, attracting investment from really big players, and that kind of puts us, Georgia, on a global map for startups. And even though it's a small market, even though it still needs to develop in lots of directions, it's again quite a good testing ground. And I would say that any startup that's starting in Georgia, they can start local, but always think global, and that's how potential innovation, potential growth would be really happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. Georgian market is most of the times a good start point for a lot of companies, not only in Web3, but in general as well, yeah. Warlam, what would be your take on the projects in Web3 involving in Georgia, and what do you think are the interesting ones for you and for the economy as well?
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to share stage with colleagues. First of all, it's not deliberately that my outfit differentiates the regulator. But as a regulator, we are trying to create the environment when Georgia is a place for experimentation. Our department is called FinTech and Subtech Development Department. A little bit differentiates itself within the standard supervisory structure of the central bank. We directly don't having direct supervisory functions, but our main job is considering Georgian context, being quite developed digitally and also quite concentrated to help with three dimensions: policy, infrastructure, and ecosystems, create environment for new entrants for experimentation and scaling outside. I think Web3 and blockchain already proved that it's a promising technology. It's already tested, and it has disruptive nature itself, because it's about technology-driven innovation, and even BIS innovation. BIS is now convinced that tokenization, unified ledger are the promising technologies which can create basis for a new financial infrastructure. And what actually we are trying to do with initiating specific projects on at these three dimensions, like infrastructure, for example. We are experimenting with the CBDC project, right? And our approach to CBDC is that we are creating it ecosystem in order to then build added value services for new entrants to the markets. As for ecosystem, understanding that Georgia is a small market and we need to support something which is scalable from here, we are part of the MBridge project, which is BIS Innovation Hub Hong Kong Center project, and it aims to test on blockchain technology wholesale CBDCs. Actually, it's a blockchain platform to streamline the trade finance and to streamline trade itself. And it is linked with the ongoing promising trend in real economy, which is about middle corridor. So we are considering all these factors in our thinking and when we act. And of course, as I mentioned, infrastructure is outdated. Everyone agrees that it needs to be changed, including regulators. And I think big changes are coming. And with this kind of experimentations, we are trying to be at the forefront of innovations, which brings unified ledger and tokenization.
Understood, yeah. Hendrik, what would be your take on the most promising blockchain innovations coming up on the financial market currently, not only in Georgia, but in globally as well?
Thank you, organizers, for coming up here and making a big audience right now. I think that as far as I'm representative for the other country and I'm look on the region at all, I think Georgia is right now located in a very unique place because you have a normal regulation in crypto. You have big interest of big project like Tone, like Binance, like the other Web3 startup foundations or like VS. And you have a very, very, very fruitful field to create this local project with MVP and then go global. So as far as I understand, right now crypto is changing, and we're going very easy in these trends. We have tap to earn. We have like very easy steps in making money in crypto. So you have more opportunities to create this on the field of like Georgia, because a lot of people that here speak English, they can start this project and then go global. For me, we're always like my domain project is Skylab's. It's crypto ATM terminals in Armenia. We're the biggest ones in Armenia. So for me, looking on Georgia is always like example, because like you guys doing experience here, you're trying to be open to the other like West world, to communicate with them. You start hubs here, and then we take this experience and make it local in our market. So I think that Web3 trends is not that late, as the previous speaker said, here in Georgia, and these global trends, we can use them, we can start it, and taking in mind that we have such a big conference, it's here on very like very like constant agenda, it will be very easy. And I would like one more time to say thanks to the Georgian regulations, because Georgian regulations a little bit differs from the regulations that you have, for example, right now going on in Armenia, because in Armenia we're trying to go to the very, very 100% strict European regulations, but our market differs. Our market, like is Georgian market, we have a lot of foreigners coming, we have a lot of visitors coming, and if we kill this like visitor vibe and we kill this cash vibe, it will be changing the market, and a lot of projects will be just dying because a lot of projects working on only on the local stage. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand. There are lots of things where not only in Web3, but in general, I believe that both private sector and public sector have to a bit of collaborate in order to achieve some different type of goals, whether it's crypto or just tech startup or any of the spheres. So on this matter, I'd like to touch the subject about the collaborating between the private sectors and the public sector. So what do you guys think? What would be how can the public and the private sector collaborate in the way that it's going to foster the adoption of blockchain in current financial institutions, or maybe in general in financial sector? Erolf, maybe we can start with you.
As a private sector, from the private sector, we do work with the National Bank of Georgia as a public sector, and it is a very thin bridge we are talking about.
Yeah.
And it's a very hard to manage things correctly in the spot, which will lead to happening big things. Because, like our friend said, regulations somehow and sometime might kill the company and kill the private sector, kill the private chances and opportunities. But we are lucky, I guess, in Georgia that we are on the good side of the history, that we have a public sector figures who are listening, who are trying to integrate in the market, and who are trying to support the private sector. For my point of view, Mr. Varlam will say much more than me in this situation, I guess.
Thank you very much. First of all, it is a pleasure to hear so many good words about the regulator at Web3 conference. So as I mentioned already, everyone agrees that blockchain is a technology which is already proved itself, it's promising. Everyone understands among the regulators community that current infrastructure take payments, for example. If we want to make payment from A to B, you need to update at least 3 different organization ledgers, right? And you have lots of unneeded clearing and settlement messaging systems. You don't have ownership function which tokenization allows. And with the unified ledger and also having asset ownership feature in tokenization, and then on the top of this to build programmability and smart contracts, everyone understands that this kind of infrastructure on architectural level makes huge difference. As Ray Dalio says, whole economy is nothing else but accumulation of all transactions from buying beer to buying house. And you can imagine what kind of revolutionary impact it could have. So we understand this. That's why we are active in the international sandboxes. We also understand that our capacity is limited. That's why we are part of BIS Innovation Hub project called Enbridge. Also, we consider when to spend our resources, whether this project has a real link to the real economy, to our context, because contextualization is very important. We are experiencing in retail CBDC quite actively. We are one of the few countries which actually currently are at the stage of how of CBDC. Most of the countries would say that they are experiencing in CBDC, but 99% is still stick with the question why, and we are somehow in the transition between why and how. We have powerful technology partners in place, and this is just foundation for experimentation. With our use cases, we invite everyone to be part of this new value chain and to unleash their creativity when it comes to added value services from Georgia, but beyond Georgia as well.
Okay. I believe those type of collaborations.
And instrument like regulatory sandbox, like we made analysis of our regulations and map them with promising fintech business models, which already proved themselves to be successful in other countries. We made inventory of up to 30 different business models and linked them with the local regulations and got pictured. Then in 70% of places we have green color, which means that the Georgian regulation in place already is quite business model supportive, but in 30% of cases we need still improvements. Bank to go with the regulation changes is a long pathway. Sometimes it goes beyond mandate of National Bank. That's why we have to choose a proactive approach, and we are doing currently 3 different experiments, from escrow testing to offline FXs through our regulatory sandbox, in order to adapt with the new requirements of technology and innovation without having go through regulatory and law changes, which takes quite a while. Thank you.
I'll also speak a little bit about this maybe. In general, innovation is much faster than the regulation, and that's just a common knowledge, common truth. And that has been very true in the context of US, for example, where crypto and blockchain innovations were so fast that the regulation still to this day is not actually there. And that has created a major concern for crypto community and blockchain community in the US. And lots of companies, lots of individuals are actually leaving. And if you see the charts, the number of crypto and blockchain developers are actually leaving US. And there has been a really big debate about what could be done. But US in this case, and from the regulatory standpoint, are, let's say, quite slow. And you see that two presidential candidates actually have a very different stance on crypto. But I've read yesterday the news that Joe Biden also would like to, for example, start accepting crypto as a donation because he understands that something more needs to be done. I don't know when and how that will be translated to actual productive regulations for the industry, but generally uncertainty in the US in this space actually creates bottlenecks elsewhere as well, because the US is very big market, very developed economy, and it's actually quite strange to see that a country that has been so in the forefront of lots of innovations is a little bit lacking behind from the regulatory standpoint on crypto. When you take, for example, Switzerland, which is in par, I think, with the innovation in crypto, they have had something like MiCA for a long time. I think 6 or 7 years ago they introduced that. And if you come here around, in our region, Middle East, you see UAE as a real oasis of regulation. Actually, they have a different kind of problem where regulation is much faster than the innovation. They're regulators. Their governmental bodies are much more proactive than the private sector there, because their private sector does not really understand additional values that kind of country provides, and that's a problem. In Georgia, I think we are not like Switzerland and not like UAE, but we are somewhere in the middle, I think, and that's a great thing. And having Varlam here, he is very involved in lots of innovationary discussions and what could be done, and that basically helps. What I wanted to additionally point out is that if there is a good debate, if there is a good discussion, and if there is a good understanding from the regulator, then the process of complying with the regulations, which is part of the game for private sector. If there is a regulation, you either comply or go to jail or get fines. This compliance becomes easier, and that's basically how from now on, and I think for the last 1 or 2 years it has been happening. And then there comes the compliance with international regulations, which is sometimes much harder to achieve for a country like Georgia, because basically their requirements are sometimes too strict. To comply with them is hard, and at the same time we are small for them to actually manage, for international players, international big players there. And that again gives us a situation like we become an island where we might be complying with something locally, but it might still not be good enough to do business internationally. And that's I think the harmonization of these regulations needs to happen gradually. Thank you.
I want to comment on this very quickly. So on the point of innovation versus regulation, which one is behind? So you are very right. In the US, always it was market-driven. But we are now at the Web3 conference, and main thing about Web2 was that it was platform-dominated ecosystem, right? And Web2 lessons are that sometimes platforms taking everything and creates quite an inequality in distribution of those benefits of innovations. What regulators are now trying to learn from this lesson is that they introducing regulatory-driven innovation, this term, making sure that benefits of technology, benefits of blockchain architecture is inclusive. It's actually like a public good. It should be inclusive and affordable, like healthcare, like other public services. And we are trying to make sure that from the beginning we are at the early stages of testing of those promising prototypes and then distributing equally. That's our policy.
Hendrik?
Actually, me and Errol are not being paid by saying like warm words about regulation in Georgia. It's really the nice one, and I think we have a big virtue here in Georgia, in countries like Georgia, because in comparison with the US, we have a little scope of the market, so we can be very flexible in our regulation, in our changes inside. We can build bridges with some spheres of business, for example, retail business. We can try to mass adopt crypto, like in the real estate sphere, in ordinary shops, markets, or like buying some things, some physical things inside. So I think we can really go local in these bridges inside the country and to watch how the other countries are doing. But the other thing is we cannot be like the part of the big market like the US market, because we have the other rules and we cannot just take them and just put it on our field and our ground.
Yeah, touching the base with the regulations, yeah. It's always a controversial topic to discuss. My take on that would be that if the regulation is very strict, then it leaves VASPs with the only option would be for them to just keep complying with the regulator, and that leaves them with a very limited resources to think about the innovation. All they do is they just spend their resources on complying with the regulations, which usually takes a lot of time, funds, and also the human resources as well. So, yeah. Considering this in mind, and considering that Georgian market is still relatively new for regulations and VASPs, how do you see, and this is a question for all of you, on today's Georgian market, we have a lots of crypto companies, a lot of players who are either exchanges or are touching bases with crypto in different type of aspects. How do you see the Georgian crypto companies, getting their share of the market, considering that the market is relatively small, and it takes them lots of effort to maybe just get the traction. So what do you see as the main niche or maybe the approaches that Georgian WASPs should take to just stand out from the other companies which are currently operating on Georgian market? Errol, maybe we can start with you.
I will touch a little bit about regional to this question because as a startup from the Georgia, our main issue is that the population, economy, how big it is the economy, how we can operate in this economy, because we are working on the transaction volumes. Transaction volumes are coming from the transaction fees, and you have limit, big. And market cap is not enough for us in order to do the things in just one country. But a good thing is that, like, about WASP and virtual asset service providers, I'm seeing that there's a licensing process and there are several companies who took already. I had always this question: is this market big enough in order to fuel the 10 exchanges? And for my point of view, it's a very controversial, and basically no. But for point of view, the scaling, and Georgia is giving you a good opportunity to test your product, make a market fit, make a businesses, and take a business cases, change your product, go to scaling. Georgia is very good on this phase, and the people and the population is a very adaptable. They are integrating very fastly, because we have done something which, like, for this region, it was kind of far away, right? Like, crypto payments. Okay, crypto payments. Who is going to pay with the crypto? What's going to happen? Where is the money? It's a controversial for the country itself. And then business model came up, changing into lari. Payments happens in the lari. Just crypto exchange happens. But for point of our view, we push the product out of the Georgia. We have merchants. We are very thankful from the first day of happening. We turned a little bit of the software solution. We are partnering with the PSP companies, with the banks, and integrating the solution. But we changed into, right now, it's time to actually use the product regional wise. And we talked about US, we talk about Europe. Usually we are taking, why you know US, now know Europe. For us, where there is no problem, there is nothing to solve. So we are not needed in any of these countries. But if you check the out of US and Europe, there's a huge market there. There's a twice more market in order to be covered. For us, Georgia is perfect. Test your product, but push the countries. We have very good neighbors like Armenia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Turkey. Those are very good population to push the market. So we are pushing our product there.
Yeah. I believe, and that's what's happening today in Georgia as well. So all the startups are testing the MVP product on Georgian market. Most of them are, maybe they are not even reaching the break-even point, but they're still having the battle-tested product, and then they're pushing on the international market. So yeah, I'd love to hear the opinions about this from you, George, and from Varlam, and for Hendrik as well, considering that all three of you are presenting a different aspects of the industry currently.
Yeah, thank you. So I think I agree. Georgia's market is not big enough, and there will be too many WASPs probably soon. And there are 3 points where they should potentially compete to each other: ease of use, user experience, and security. Whoever does this best will probably take them much of the share. And I don't, let's say, I at least expect, per my personal view, that it will be also consolidated like it's in banking sector, probably 2, maximum 3 players taking the biggest share, others doing some niche stuff, and others will just go out of market. I already know at least one VESP that's evaluating the market. They believe that it's much harder to compete here, and even though they have VASP, they are not really going to do that much business in Georgia. So I think it's a tough game. it will not make too much money, but you know, it might still bring a normal cash flow for founders and executives.
Yeah, I agree. You as a representative of National Bank of Georgia, I'm sure you had the connections. You've met with a lot of WASPs on Georgia market and in general as well. So, what would be your take on the topic? What would be the niche or the, I don't know, special approaches that the current Georgian WASPs should take for them to be shown on the Georgian market, if it's big enough for them even?
So I'm not engaged personally in meeting lots of WASPs. It's different departments which supervise the WASP, but I met a few of them, and my understanding is that their value proposition is very limited, and it's very similar, and they compete with each other with the same value proposition, and in these circumstances, it's very limiting potential here to scale, but we also have promising examples. For example, we granted a digital bank license to someone which describes its business model as building first programmable bank from here globally. So it tackles bigger problem. It tackles liquidity problem and use best of blockchain technology to put counterparty risk in the code with smart contracts, unified ledgers, etc., etc. So it's a big problem, and it has big potential. So to continue Erlap's point, Georgia is the best place for experimentation. People are early adopters of innovation and think that we are #1 country when it comes to contactless payments. All ages are quite early adopters. So I would recommend to start here, test here, use friendly regulation and the scale, but to think about big potential of disruptive technology. It's not about only conversion. We need to think about benefits of tokenization, benefits of smart contracts, benefits of technology-driven innovation, and to engage only in WASP's business model, it's very limited thinking, I would say. It's not use of best of technology in their business models.
And Andrew, what would be your take from your point of view, considering the market in Armenia and the views you had on Georgia market as well? What do you think are the key components that WASP, not only in Georgia, maybe in Armenia or in our region, should take in order to stand out?
As far as we don't have regulation, I will just consider the Georgian market. So we have here two big groups of players. The first one is offline exchanges, tellers, terminals, cryptomats, etc., etc. The other hand is like future digital banks, big online exchanges, or like big cybersecurity projects starting from Georgia, or payment systems starting from Georgia and then going global and starting to make MVP here, testing it, and then with VASP going to the other countries. So for the first group, I think that we have a lot of already we have a lot of requests for a license. The vast majority of them already received license and they're working, like several exchanges in Tbilisi. The vast majority are still waiting for the license, but I think this gate will be closed in the next, like the very short future, because the Georgian market inside itself, the local market is not that big for a lot of exchanges. So they will be just eating each other. I know that it's like free open market, but like what is the reason if you have the same business plan just to have this license and then in each other, you're just eating the commissions, you're just eating the other players, and that's it. And I think that we need to simplify the rules for getting VASPs for the projects like CDPA or the other projects which are receiving this to get MVP here in Georgia, and they're already showing in their business plan that they're going to the other countries. And they're just having Georgia as a title, as a brand, and going with this title and brand to the other countries, having the other population inside the project. So it would be really great to simplify rules for these projects. It's my tackle.
Yeah, and Varlam has touched the point regarding a CBDC as well. So I like to ask a question about that as well. But we're very limited in time, so maybe we can just swiftly go through your opinions about CBDC, and then maybe we can leave a time for the audience Q&A. So, yeah, development of CBDC in Georgia. What would be your take on that, and how do you see CBDCs impacting the Georgian financial market and the banking market in Georgia? Yeah, maybe we can start there. Traditionally, yeah.
So we have not enough time, I guess, for me to talk. I guess
Maybe.
I will pass the question. But CBDC adoption will start from the payments. Payments are the, from my point of view, payments are the main point where you can pinpoint the things. One of the best examples is that Lugano, Switzerland, and where you are using the actual use case, but that's about it.
Well, yeah, your point?
Everyone avoids to talk about CBDC. I think somehow Trump election statements affected this. It's how you approach CBDC, and our differentiator when we talk about CBDC is not to introduce one more payment rails, but we want to bring with CBDC something extra. That's why we spent lots of time to analyze underlying technologies, tokenization, programmability, smart contracts, and then map these underlying promising technologies with the real added value use cases for Georgia. From starting very basic ones like making transactions for real estate using smart contracts, ending with more complicated ones to be ready for Internet of Things payments. And the use case regarding Internet of Things payments has a link with different several ecosystems, like you can automate insurance based on CBDC Foundation in this case. So it's how you approach this project. Our approach is open source. Our approach is open for the ecosystem. And we are not trying to replace innovators. We are trying to give place for experimentation for startups, founders to unleash their creativity. Everyone has something to bring in this redefined value chain. And CBDC is just an enabler for this. That's in short.
Hendrik, maybe you could share your take on that?
If we launch the very idealistic version of CBDC here in Georgia, which will be included in the every sphere of the normal business, I don't think it would be sufficient to work only with CBDC, because like it's a big additional component. It can be the biggest additional component, but you cannot exclude the other tokens. You cannot exclude the other crypto. So CBDC is like one of the little elements in this game. So it's my opinion.
Yeah.
Trying to be interoperable with other tokens. That's the subject of the designing.
Yeah, it's very important to not lose communication with the other tokens, because I know the practice in the other countries. They are saying we have CBDC, so we're launching CBDC, and we're softly killing the other tokens usage in this country. So they just push to use CBDC only, and it's not the good way.
So as introduced already, my colleagues are having a regulatory masterclass after our panel, and they will explore our CBDC approach, use cases in very details. I'll invite everyone to attend this meeting to know more about our CBDC approach and project.
Okay. I'd like to thank you guys very much for taking part in the panel discussion. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we are not able to have a Q&A for this, but you can meet us all, guys, after the panel, and you can have the networking hours for it. Again, thank you very much for being here, and thanks to the Degamefi team, to Michael, Maria, and the whole team for organizing this event. It was a great pleasure taking a part of it. It's going to continue for today and for tomorrow as well, so all of you have a great rest of the conference. Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Luca, for great moderation. Well done.